sisters, and happy Founders Day. My name is JeanMarie Komyathy, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving as the chair of the Tri Sigma Foundation Board of Directors. I was initiated into Gamma Kappa chapter nearly 40 years ago now, and currently live in Manassas, Virginia, where I'm a member of the Northern Virginia Alumni Chapter. Today, I'm joined by two sisters who are philanthropic leaders within our foundation family. I'm going to ask that they introduce themselves. Liz, can you start?
Yes, I'm Liz Hoffert. I'm from the Beta Z chapter at Southeast Missouri State University. I currently live in Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm a member of the Phoenix Alumni Chapter.
Thank you. And Joey?
Hi, I'm Joey Jackson Koenig. I was a collegiate member and charter member of the Theta Delta chapter at Lindenwood University. I'm currently a member of the Greater St. Louis Alumni Chapter, and I live in St. Charles, Missouri, right outside of St. Louis.
Thank you. And thank you both for joining us today, ladies. Each of us gives generously to the foundation and within our local community. We'd like to pull back the curtain a little bit today and talk about how and why we've made being a philanthropist a priority in our lives. So I've got some questions for you, and I hope we'll have a conversation talking about how and why we give. So first, I'd like to ask Liz, what does it mean to you to be a philanthropist?
Well, first of all, happy Founders Day, Sigma Sisters. Let me start with this conversation with an easy definition of who is a philanthropist. She is a person who donates time, money, experience, skills, or talents to create a better world. Using that definition, I know I'm a philanthropist to Tri Sigma. I volunteer, I donate to the foundation, I've shared my experience and skills on executive council and locally with my alumni chapter. Every sister can be a philanthropist, even if you have limited time, money, or skills at this point in your life. Each of us can give in some way. So ladies, let me challenge you right now to join me as a Tri Sigma leader and let other sisters know you value our sisterhood and philanthropy. If I can get 50 shares on this video before the end of Giving Day, you will unlock a $2,500 gift from me to the foundation. This requires no money for you to do this, nothing out of your pocket, but this will be a first step to you become or continuing as part of the Tri Sigma Foundation family. But if you can, please join us by donating now. I encourage you to make a donation no matter what size. It's a good feeling, trust me, but 50 shares of this video is all that is needed for a $2,500 gift from me to the foundation on this Giving Day. Are you up for the challenge?
Thank you, Liz. That's a fabulous gift, and I hope everyone can be up to that challenge. I know for me, being a philanthropist was very much the same. I started with what I could give, and as my means grew, my giving gave, whether that was my time, my experience, or my money. And it continues today, and it has brought me to the leadership role that I serve in as well. Joey, what does being a philanthropist mean to you?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of what, and Liz, that's awesome. I'm really excited about that challenge of the 50 shares. And for me, a lot of what being a philanthropist is a lot of what Liz touched on. It's bigger than just, giving your time. It could be as simple as, giving $5 here or there as your budget allows, or, just aligning. There are short-term opportunities and long-term opportunities to be a philanthropist and engage with the foundation and with Tri Sigma. I've been grateful in the fact that I've had the time in my life to be able to give to the foundation since I graduated. And when I first graduated from college, that looked like giving violet tributes to my sisters at big events such as convention, or if I knew women from my chapter that were attending leadership events. And then that's grown into where now I'm able to budget in a monthly gift in addition to spending time with the foundation. I volunteer with the foundation running our collegiate ambassador program, which is something that I've been able to grow and is really true to my heart. as well as also volunteering with the national organization in volunteer recruitment and volunteer placement.
Thank you. So I know that we all have choices to make when it comes to give. And when I think about where I've given, I, at different times, have chosen different organizations with which I give my money, time, and talent. Sometimes it's a little bit to a lot of different organizations. Sometimes it's more to one organization that I'm very passionate about. Right now, I give a great amount of my time, talent, and treasure to Tri Sigma because I am so passionate about what the foundation does. And my goal is to get to a point where the foundation can fund all of the educational programming for Tri Sigma. So how do you evaluate the organizations to which you give your time, talent, and treasure? And let's start with Joey this time. How do you make your choices?
Yeah, no, well, so I think for me, I was one of the people that drank the purple Kool-Aid in college. Part of that came from being a charter member of my chapter. And so I knew that I wanted to stay engaged. And Liz was actually my installing officer when our chapter was installed. And she spoke with us and she talked about how she was really only a collegiate Sigma for a very short period of time. But as an alumna, she's been engaged, you know, for as since she graduated in the late 60s. And so to me, I was like, this really is a lifelong commitment. And so I applied to be a volunteer before I even graduated. And so I've kind of been indoctrinated and engaged since then. And then as I've kind of gone through life and gotten married, talked with my husband about our budgets and where we want to give our money and where I give my time, he's known that Tri Sigmas hold a special place in my heart and that it's a priority for me. And then as far as how we budget out our giving, he's a firefighter paramedic. And so for us, Tri Sigma is important. And then also organizations that benefit his work statement is important, like Backstoppers. And so that's kind of where our focused giving and attention is in those organizations, because there's something that is both close to us and that we're passionate about. And one is something that's close to me and the other is something that's close to him.
And Liz, how about you?
Well, first I look at an organization for one that values and mission align with my personal philosophy. Do they contribute or do something that makes a difference? Do they use their donations wisely? And then I decide if and how I can make a difference with that organization. Besides Tri Sigma, another one that I'll mention here is since I retired, I have been volunteering once a week before the pandemic at the St. Mary's Food Bank in Phoenix. In fact, St. Mary's is the first food bank in the country.
Wow.
It's the first one. And I have volunteered there. I also give financially to them, but I have volunteered there once a week for 8 years. And I actually work in an office there in the Kids Cafe. It's the program that feeds kids after school and weekends. So that touches me because it's serving children.
That's wonderful. I think it's interesting that all of us have had a chance to be a volunteer for Tri Sigma as well as to give to Tri Sigma, but that's not everybody's journey. And so I think about those who maybe were in Tri Sigma in college and have lost touch now and want to come back. I think giving what you can when you can is a great way to reintroduce yourself to Tri Sigma and a chance for us to say hello and here's what we're doing and would you like to help us? So for those of you who haven't volunteered or haven't given, this is a great way to get back in the family and reconnect with your sisters. And when I think about my alumni chapter, that's a good way that I've also found to reconnect alumni sisters from their college days and bring them back into the foundation family. So Joey, you talked a little bit about monthly giving, and Liz, now that you're retired, I know you have different ways of giving. How do you approach your giving decisions as far as, are you going to get cash? Have you done some planned giving? Is there an estate plan in there? What's your approach to giving now and in the future? And I'll open that to Liz first.
Well, since I retired, it has changed. I've never was a monthly giver. I was more of an annual giver or to appeals. But since I've retired, we give a once a year annual donation of stock. We have some stock that has greatly appreciated in value, which is very nice, but by giving the stock to the foundation, it enables us to avoid paying capital gains on that increase in value. So that's what we've been doing the last, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years now. But I also give at other times. I do Violet Tributes, I do Founders Day, I get Giving Day, other appeals. I make memorial contributions, honor contributions. I've looked up into doing IRA distributions, but I haven't done that yet. But the foundation is also in my will, and it has been way before I retired.
Okay. And Joey, how about you? I know you mentioned monthly giving. Has that always been the way you've given?
So not when I initially graduated, no. So when I initially graduated, I really only gave when there was, like a Giving Day or a Founders Day or an opportunity to send Violet Tributes. And then I learned about Steadfast Giving, which basically is the monthly giving program, the ability to do that. And so for me, I found it to be perfect because I don't have to think about it. I have it set up, it automatically goes out, and it's already budgeted into our monthly and annual budget. The other thing too is the tax benefit. So the tax deduction of giving to a nonprofit, any nonprofit, but that's also the other piece is that I know going into at least, what that value is going to be. And so it made it really easy for me because I have a lot of stuff that I pay automatically monthly or that I pay virtually monthly through online banking and what have you. And so having that option, it allows me to give without even having to think about it. And it's already incorporated into my budget. And so that's something that I really appreciate. And then in addition to that, as there are separate, calls to action, or, if I, again, similar to this day, if I have members of my chapter that are attending like a leadership institute or at convention time, I still like to recognize them with Violet Tributes because I think that that's a great way to let a sister know that you're thinking of her or that you're proud of her. And it also duly benefits the foundation. So it's a symbiotic relationship. It benefits the foundation and then also benefits the women.
You sound very much like me. When I first started giving, it was a little bit here, a little bit there, what I could afford when, the credit card was paid off. If I had a little money extra, I would send it in. And then I can remember Susie Kuhn approached me at convention and said, we're starting up a new program called The Pillars. And, and she was explaining it all to me. And I'm like, I want to be the first one. And I wrote her a check that day. And that's really where I thought, I can give more than what I'm giving. I can be more intentional about it. And I started really looking at what I was giving on an annual basis and how could I make that work throughout the year. I've been fortunate that at times I've been able to give through work and through campaigns at work where the charity donations are made. And like you, Joey, now I have it automatically coming out of my checking account every paycheck. And it's something you don't think about, but you have been very intentional in setting it up. But I love the Violet Tributes. It's a great way to say happy birthday, or I'm thinking about you, or, whatever. For just a $5 donation, you can make another sister's day. And it doesn't even have to be people that are sisters. I've been known to give Violet Tributes to our non-sister staff at convention or at other events. It's a great way to recognize people and just say thank you and hello, and I'm thinking about you. And a $5 Violet Tribute is something that I think everybody can approach as to whether or not they can afford it. I also have looked at the planned giving. I've looked at the estate planning. I had conversations with my financial planner. I have some life insurance that I've, at one point made family members beneficiary of. We've talked about with the different retirement accounts I have and life insurance, what is best for family? Where does family get the best tax benefit? And what can I give to Tri Sigma so that when I'm gone, my legacy can live on? And what I think is interesting about mine is I've planned for a scholarship, but I've also planned for if there's extra money left over for the greatest need of Tri Sigma. So Tri Sigma can decide what it needs at that time and what will best help it. So I've talked with my financial planner. I don't have a spouse. I'm kind of in control of my own money. I don't have other people who are in my household who are involved in that discussion, but I know others do. Joey, you mentioned talking to your spouse. Liz, I'm assuming you also are making combined discussion or decisions, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, we make combined decisions. Fred, my husband and I sat down several years ago before I retired with our financial advisor and our lawyer to update our wills and investments and talk about our budget going forward after I retired. And it was after some of those conversations, one night after we were home, I said, wait a minute, why are we waiting to leave money to the foundation after I'm dead and I'll never know what happened to that money?
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me like, okay. So we talked about it and we decided together that we would accelerate our giving to the foundation and to the American Radio Relay League, which is in Connecticut. It is for ham radio operators. Mm-hmm. Fred has been a ham radio operator for over 55 years. And in fact, he's next door in what we call the radio room right now, working on his ham radio. And we have left money to both of those organizations in our will. And so we decided to start giving now so we could see what happened to the money. So we went back, had another conversation with the lawyer and financial advisor, told them what we wanted to do. They both were stunned and said, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. So they are now have told other clients, if you can, why don't you accelerate some of your giving so you can see the impact of your money? So I went to the foundation staff and they helped me set up the Elizabeth and Fred Hoffert Leadership Endowment. And we now give to that annually, some money to the endowment and some money to the annual fund that helps pay for some of the leadership that the sorority does.
Every time I participate in the leadership program, I think of you, Liz. It is wonderful to be able to know that your gifts help pay for that, and that I can say thank you in person. And you have touched so many lives through those programs that it's a legacy now and for the future. And you know, when I put on my Liz's socks before I get on the airplane, or when I think of what we're going to be doing at a leadership training that you may have helped pay for, it makes my heart sing. That is something that you're still here and you can see, and I think that's wonderful. So thank you so much for that giving, and just for the idea of being able to see the benefit of your giving now and see it in action now.
Right.
Joey, how about you? How have those discussions gone in your household, in your life, of thinking about how you can give, where you can give, why you give, and can you do it now?
Yeah, no, and I think to Liz's point, one of the things is and because I volunteer and I keep up with the organization, I like seeing kind of where are my funds going, where are we investing in. I'm really excited about the launch of the Ever True Fund in regards to kind of allowing us to spread our money where the greatest need is for the foundation, along with the diversity and inclusion scholarships that will benefit our chapters that I think is really important. And so for me, it really comes down to kind of, again, going back to that budget. So before I got married, I already had established a monthly giving. And so when we were, combining our finances and combining our accounts and having those discussions, it was already there. And so I just said, hey, this is what it's for. This is what it's going to. And my husband and I have been together since high school, so he's been a part of me in my Tri Sigma journey. And so he knows how important it is to me. And so therefore it kind of helped ease the conversation. I know that some of my other sisters who have talked or started to initiate that monthly giving or annual giving, kind of how they talk about it is, kind of, similar to Liz's point of what are the organizations that are important to you? What are the organizations that are important to me? And then how can we help benefit them? And so that was something that it kind of helped ease the conversation in regards to the fact of it was already baked into the budget. And then from there, the benefit from a tax perspective. And as we've started to kind of get more interested in setting up financing. So we're expecting our first child in August. And so we've actually gotten a financial advisor and try to like make sure that we're on the right track with things. And so realizing the tax benefits of making donations and the things that you get there, I think is something that I never would have thought about when I first graduated college, but now that I'm kind of entering the next stage of my life, I'm really grateful that we've had those conversations because it's really highlighted the mutual benefits of giving. Not only does it make you feel good and you're helping an organization that you're passionate about, but also it can help you financially as well, which I don't think people realize or think about if they don't have those conversations.
I think it's interesting, we are all at different points in our life. Joey, you've gotten married recently, you're expecting your first child. I'm in the middle of my career. Retirement is in sight, but I'm not quite there yet. Liz, you're retired and enjoying this great time of your life when you have the freedom and the ability to do what you want. But we all have very similar things in our decision making about giving. We all have people we're talking to, we're looking at the tax benefits. We want to see the impact. And I think the other thing that's interesting to me is we're all giving at the level we could give. Sometimes it's small and sometimes you've got other priorities, and at other times you can give more. And I think when I think about first-time givers and new donors to the foundation, that I think would be my best advice to them of think about what you can give now and see how that can grow and change. And maybe you can start higher now and you'll have to go lower if life changes. Life happens and we all know that. So figuring out what you can give, when you can give, I think is the part that to me is what we need to spend our time on. And recognize that that's not the same for everybody. It's different for each person's situation, but philanthropy means giving of yourself, your time, your talents, and being in that giving mix. So Joey, what advice do you have for Sigma sisters who want to give, who want to become a philanthropic leader for Tri Sigma?
Yeah, no, I think it kind of comes back to kind of thinking through what can you give, right? And I think people sometimes become, they're like, oh, if I don't have thousands of dollars to give to an organization, it's not worth it. I know we've talked a lot about violet tributes on here, but even just starting there, like just picking, 3 sisters in your life to give a violet tribute to, that's $15. And that could be, you give it to them on their birthday or you give it to them at Founders Day. That's $15 a year. When I first started, I was giving some violet tributes, like I said, whenever there was different events or different calls to action, I would give, $10 or $15 here or there. And then when I started giving on a monthly basis, it was only $20 a month. And then I've been able to increase that as my income has increased and our budgets have adjusted. And so that's something else that I think is really important, is that realizing that like you can start making a difference with something like less than $20 a year. And then as your financial situation adjusts, you can adjust. Similarly, I know some of my friends and sisters who have unfortunately lost their jobs due to the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And so they've had to back down on giving. And so, you can make those adjustments as time allows. As we welcome our first child in August, going to be revisiting the budget with what does that look like. And so I still plan to maintain being a steadfast giver, but I might have to adjust it down a little bit as we adjust and then adjust it back up. And so I think that's something else that is really important, is, touching in with yourself, touching in with your priorities, and touching in with your budget, and aligning to, what are you able to give and when. And it doesn't have to be a giant amount. It can be something as small as, recognizing 3 sisters with a violet tribute.
I really appreciate that, because sitting here in the leadership role in the foundation, I know that any amount is good. From the smallest gift to the largest gift, we appreciate all of them, and we can use all of them. And we try to be very good stewards of your money and use it in the way that you want us to, and recognize what will be the best benefit to Tri Sigma. So don't ever think that $5 is not enough. $5 gets us in the door. $5 can get us started on something. $500,000 would be great, but $5 is just fine if that's what you can give. And I think that's great advice, to start with what you can, and as you need to move things around, move them around. So thank you. And Liz, what about you? What advice do you have for sisters who want to become a philanthropic leader?
Well, first of all, if any sister has paid their lifetime dues, like I did many, many years ago, you need to continue to give back to the sorority financially. You can't expect the sorority to continue to exist without money. It's just not feasible to run a business without some ongoing funding. One way to do that is to contribute to the foundation. They provide grants to the national organization to use for leadership and education. And if you have not paid lifetime dues yet, you still need to consider to give to the foundation, because dues alone do not allow the sorority and the foundation to meet our goals and mission. The foundation helps all of us support our sisterhood as we serve children, aid members with scholarships, and empower women through education and leadership. And also the Steadfast Giving Club that Joey's mentioned, with monthly gifts, is a useful tool for members who want to start giving and make it easy, and it can be done within your budget. No better time than today, Giving Day 2021, to get started.
Liz, thank you so much. Your words to give back, whether you've paid lifetime dues or you're still paying dues, really resonate. And you're right, it's a business. We as sisters cannot continue to expect something from this organization if we don't continue to give back. So Liz and Joey, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing a little bit about your philanthropic journey. And to all of our sisters out there, thank you for joining us today. As Liz said, the Steadfast Giving Club is a great way to get started. And I hope all of you can help us unlock a wonderful challenge from Suzanne McGlone, who has offered $1,500 in a donation for 10 sisters to join the Steadfast Giving Club, recognizing that it's our loyal sisters who give monthly. So can you be one of those 10? It's very easy to do. Just visit trisigma.org/giving day and click the checkbox to make your gift a recurring monthly donation. It can be any amount. $5 on a monthly basis is $60 a year, and we'll take it. We can use it, and it will help us grow to where we want to grow. And if you're like me and Liz and Joey, and you're already a member of the Steadfast Giving Club, reach out to a sister and encourage her to join you today. Remember always, we who receive much must give much. And sisters, please have a very wonderful, happy Founders Day. 123 years Tri Sigma and still going strong. Thank you.